Hello, it's the 5th of June. Welcome along to Renew Every Morning. And you're with us on our series about strength and courage. And today we have a lovely verse to review together. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 9. You'll know this verse very well. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you." For, listen to this. For, says Paul, "my power is made perfect in weakness." Therefore, says Paul, "I'll boast gladly about my weakness then, that Christ's power may rest in me." So he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you." I think that's just wonderful. There are few verses that carry more weight for me than this one. My grace is sufficient for you. I wonder, what is it that makes his grace sufficient? What is it about that? I think we're really ready, when we're truly ready to meet grace, I think it's the point at which we enter into that place of just being and freedom from needing to do, needing to perform. It's not kind of apathy, but it's the end of striving, for example. It's the kind of place when we get to our purpose is, your purpose is just to be, I suppose, in that place. You're not running after anything. You're not trying to prove anything. You're enough in this moment, and this moment is all there actually is. Now, Paul is writing in the midst of a big personal struggle. You know this story well, right? We all have them as well, don't we? He called it his thorn in his flesh. Well, there's been lots of speculation about that, but what we know for sure is this. Paul says it was a messenger from Satan to buffet me. Now, listen, remember, in every guise, and the only role ever that Satan can play is the role of God's odd job man, by the way. And that thorn didn't humiliate Paul. It wasn't there to cause humiliation. It was there perhaps to prevent hubris. It was there perhaps to keep him humble. Because you remember, this is a man who said, "I know a man, whether in the," we're going to boast, okay, let's boast, says Paul. "I know a man, whether in the flesh or out the, in the body or out the body, I couldn't tell you. But this man has been ascended into the third heaven. He's seen things that are unutterable." And Paul's, "About that man, let me boast." Paul talks like a crazy person in that. And he says, when he concludes that statement, "Look, because of the surpassing revelations, understand this, there was given to me a thorn in my side to buffet me, so I didn't get beyond myself," says Paul. And maybe it's the idea of just to keep him grounded, to keep him from thinking he was the cause of his own effect. And that's the point. So he says, 3 times I begged for this thorn to be taken away. Some have said it was glaucoma, some have speculated on other things, but Paul says, "I just begged the Lord 3 times, but he didn't remove it." Instead of removal, Paul got revelation. Now, it may be that you're begging for God to take something away from you, and it may be because, indeed, to keep you from being elated. I'm not to say. But what I do notice is this, is that he didn't give him the removal of the thorn. He gave him the revelation of grace, and that's a great trade. God doesn't replace weakness in that sense. He fills it. He transforms it. So let's break it down. Grace, charis, you know the word very well. It's divine power in action. Is sufficient. It means it holds, it sustains, it's enough. And that notion of you are enough is something we talked about yesterday. You are enough. You have enough. This moment you have all you need, and all you need is this moment, because all you have to remember is life is an ever-present, ever-unfolding moment called right now. His power, and this is the word that we get, this word dunamis, which is this kind of dynamite idea. This is this resurrection energy. This is made perfect, he says. And that's, the word that it's like where we get this word testelestai from, on the cross, it's finished. This is about the idea of fulfillment. And it rests on me. It means literally it's the Spirit of God has pitched a tent on him, or more importantly, made a house inside of him. And he says, this power, this grace that we're talking about, this charis, this power in action, is enough. I don't need anything else, because it's the resurrection energy. This is what I've tapped into. This is what I've discovered is within me and is within you. And it's perfect. And it dwells in each and every one of us. Now, this is really important, because he's not saying God just doesn't come and visit in the sense of a dwelling place like the tent in the Old Testament. No. we're the dwelling place of God. This is where he's at. And here's where it gets even more intimate, because earlier in the text I told you, Paul said, I know this man who 14 years ago was caught up into the third heaven. And he said, but he knew and he'd seen, I told you already, inexpressible things. And maybe, as I've said, that heavenly moment could have caught him up into and led him to some sort of spiritual pride. But no. He's kept grounded here because he doesn't want to lose what he has. This is Paul's mystical ascent, and his mystical ascent is matched by his earthly affliction, which somehow managed to conspire to be both the same part of grace. And maybe that's the thing, that these things are polarities, not opposites. So on the one hand, he's got this mystical ascent where he climbs up into heaven. On the other hand, he's got this earthly affliction where he can't get this thorn from his side. But as we said, maybe they're the same part of grace. Maybe. Didn't Julian of Norwich say, our wounds become the windows through which the light of God shines? Hear that? Our wounds become the windows through which the light of God shines. Thomas Merton was in a similar mood when he was thinking about this. He said, only the one who's faced their own nothingness can be filled with the fullness of God. That's exactly what Paul's experienced. That's what he's talking about. And so let's stop trying to be strong and let's start letting grace be enough. Let me ask you this as we kind of come to a close. What if my thorn, what if your thorn isn't a punishment? What if it's a portal? What if it's an opening? What if it's not what holds me back, but what if it's the very thing that might just bring me home? So today you're not disqualified by your weakness. You're being prepared by it. Your thorn's not the problem. It's the place where grace makes its home. So why don't you welcome it and let God be welcome there. Let grace be enough, because it already is. May you be renewed today, and may you just be encouraged. And look, if you've been blessed at all by this bit of sharing, then please share it with someone that might value it as well. Like, follow, subscribe, do the good stuff you do on YouTube these days, and hopefully we'll see you again as we continue together to grow in grace. Great to see you. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you so much, and let me know what you think of the post. Always keen to hear from everybody. All right, bye bye.